Hey guys, we're Blanche95, recording live from your local county prison cell. I'm gonna have to hurry this one up because unfortunately I have some things going on this week and I am not able to do this on my regular schedule, which would normally be I upload the video on Wednesday or Thursday, and that's that. But, I'm gonna have to try to rush this through while I've got a minute here, so unfortunately, the fight I'm doing is not some unimportant fight that I don't have to do justice. This is a very, very good fight. Bad timing on my part. This is Cinder Fall from Ruby versus Esdeath from Akame Kill. Okay. So, where do I come at this one from? First of all, let me just say, yes, I've seen the Ruby season finale, and no, I still don't know anything about Cinder. As a person with power, that I can really only go by what I've seen and the things I've heard that were confirmed, at least. And Esdeath, well, can never really figure out Esdeath. Let me go in this. Cinder, after absorbing the Fall Maiden's powers, now is basically a demigod. Pretty much. Or at least has the powers of basically a demigod. So, with that, yeah, pretty much, again, I called it halfway through. I was like, town's fucked. They're just not getting out of this. These buildings aren't going to be here. Like, that's just, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if she actually has all of the Fall Maiden's powers, like being able to, like, freeze things in midair. But then again, she uses ice dust in her clothing, so that's, well, whatever. I think it just enhanced her and her semblances, because, like, I don't think she would have been able to just grab Pyrrha's sword out of midair if she were just regular Cinder. And the fact that she fought Ozpin. Now, we didn't know how powerful Ozpin was until he fought her, but damn, just fighting that guy is an accomplishment. But, her semblance naturally being fire, or at least applying heat, definitely, that being enhanced to the extent it was. I mean, when she can have, like, hundreds of pounds of, iron gears just, like, smashed into her, and then she just melts them all at the same time and brushes it off. Alright. That's a big deal. When she can get hit by a sword, catch it in midair, and start to melt it, that's a big deal. And, I mean, oh, my bad. Of course, she goes the Kid Icarus route and uses dual swords that turn into a bow, and, I think, I don't know if that was some Destiny BS they were trying to sell us, or Cinder has actual control over whatever material her dual swords and arrows are made of. But, yeah, the whole it going around the shield. By the way, if you haven't seen Season 3, don't fucking watch this episode, obviously. And then, of course, she can block bullets in midair, Vader style. And, I mean, she can, so, I mean, Cinder's one thing. Now, let's go on to Esdeath. Now, Esdeath, being strongest general in the Empire, except unlike her counterpart, Magna, she got her strength just from her Imperial arms. They were both the two strongest generals, but she became the strongest just because of her Imperial arm being the demon's blood. Whereas Magna, did I say Magna the first time? Magna. Whereas Magna was, strong in her own right. But in fairness, when you've got that demon's blood Imperial arms, that does really do something. Like, for instance, letting you, like, she can manipulate and create ice from nothingness, right? Now, that doesn't sound that bad because, how many ice people have we had? Well, like, every time there's anything involving, oh, we all got superpowered. There's an ice guy. There's an ice guy. And, honestly, Esdeath doesn't sound that overpowered, but don't forget, this is all of these characters in the comic of Kill are relatively human. Same with Ruby, actually. They're all relatively human. They've just got a super awesome weapon and a super awesome power, usually. In the comic of Kill's case, it just happens to be that the super awesome power comes from the super awesome weapon. Esdeath. Yeah, like, there's ice, and then there's a power. There's having a superpower, and then there's having a limitless superpower. Esdeath more or less has a limitless power of ice. Now, it does have limits because she does have to recharge after doing something on a massive scale, and it does physically take a toll on her and that sort of thing. But for the most, I mean, she did have assistance with a small army and 3 subordinates. She buried 400,000 people alive under ice. 400,000 people under ice. Okay. Like, yeah, that's the scale of her power. She could freeze an entire river solid. She. And that's just not getting it. That's not even getting into her trump card, which is freezing time. Now, she says freezing space and time. If you were freezing space, then that's. If we're really going to go into, the difference between the characteristics of space and time, where we're going to be here a while. So I'm just going to say it's freezing time, and obviously somebody would be in stasis. So, the space itself is frozen. It's freezing time, but you're also freezing space in the process. So I guess she's right by saying freezing space and time. But who do I think would win? Well, first of all, the reason this fight is so awesome, and you might think, like, it's fire versus ice, come on, but the reason this fight is so awesome, neither of these characters are supposed to be beatable. Neither of these two are supposed to lose. You can compare them to any OP villain you want. You compare them to Vader, compare them to Sephiroth, but neither of them are supposed to be beaten by anyone except for the person specifically destined to beat them. So, with that, I guess the person destined to beat Esdeath, being Akame, and the person destined to beat Cinder will eventually be Ruby. Or Jean, who knows. But whatever, I would say Ruby probably. These two are supposed to be unstoppable villains. They're supposed to be, when they fight you, you lose. So that's what makes this fight so interesting, is that, and, you might think, like, oh, well, it's just because they have these awesome powers. Watch the fight between Esdeath and Susanoo, and remember that Susanoo, with a swing, could take out giant monsters that were the size of a mountain. These are both superhuman people. But who do I think would win? Well, it's no secret that, of course, fire would be able to beat ice, and pretty much anything Esdeath would throw at Cinder would probably be melted pretty quickly. But then again, Esdeath, I'm pretty sure, she's frozen people alive in a fraction of a second. So there's that. So I don't know. I guess Cinder's reaction time would be that good, but the point is, and then this would be a weapons fight. Esdeath does have a rapier, and Cinder does have dual swords, so we probably would see a sword fight in this, if this were to happen. But, I would say because Cinder, though she is incredibly powerful with those Fall Maiden powers, she's only meant to fight, like, a select group of people at a time. And I think the people she's fighting are probably more powerful than the characters from Agave Got Kill. I mean, you could say, well, look, mine was able to blow a hole that, went across, like, the sky, and, Leone can... Leone, gets to... That's my phone. Leone can, heal from pretty much anything, but, like, that's... I'm gonna go ahead and say Esdeath just because she's done things on a larger scale. Turning my phone off now. So she fights like hundreds of thousands of people, normal people, but what has Cinder done as a parallel to that? Broke into a building. So I mean, I'm gonna say Esdeath, but anyway, for 195.